toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
The National Assembly is something that must be gotten right.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
The struggle with the ASU strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
Hello and welcome to the AM News on Global TV. I'm Uyag Mofwegbe in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, has accused the lawyers holding briefs for President Bola Tinubu and the All Progressives Congress, APC, at the Presidential Election Petition Court of engaging in acts aimed at intimidating the judiciary. This is as the main opposition party claimed that the alleged threats are contained in the lawyers' written addresses before the Election Petition Tribunal. In a press statement released on Monday by Debo Olugunagba, National Publicity Secretary to the PDP, the party noted that the statement by the lawyers in the said written address threatening crisis and anarchy in the country in the event of the court ruling that their clients did not meet the constitutionally required 25% votes in the Federal Capital Territory is subversive, an affront to democratic order and assault on the corporate existence of the nation. While questioning the rationale by the ruling party for making public the said written addresses, the PDP also implored Nigerians to remain calm, alert and hopeful in the ability of the judiciary to dispense justice accordingly. The federal government has confirmed the first case of anthrax in Nigeria. The disease is a spore-forming bacterium which mostly affects livestock like cattle, sheep and goats. Recall that the federal government had issued a warning to Nigerians weeks ago after learning of an anthrax outbreak in northern Ghana, where all infected animals had died. A statement released by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development on Monday, signed by the Chief Veterinary Officer of Nigeria, Dr. Kolumba T. Vakuru, revealed that animals showing signs of a possible case of anthrax on a farm in Suleja, Niger State, were reported to the Office of the Chief Veterinary Officer of Nigeria by 14/2023. Welcome to Global Morning here on
Welcome to the AM News.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
the legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
The National Assembly is something that must be gotten right.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle with the ASU strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
Welcome to Global Morning here on
Welcome to the AM News.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories. Our sincere apologies for that interruption broadcast of the AM News. It was occasioned by technical problems. Thank you so very much for your understanding. Let's return to our earlier story now. The federal government has confirmed the first case of anthrax in Nigeria. The disease is a spore-forming bacterium which mostly affects livestock like cattle, sheep and goats. Recall that the federal government had issued a warning to Nigerians weeks ago after learning of an anthrax outbreak in northern Ghana, where all infected animals had died. A statement released by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development on Monday, signed by the Chief Veterinary Officer of Nigeria, Dr. Kolumba T. Vakuru, revealed that animals showing signs of a possible case of anthrax on the farm in Suleja, Niger State, were reported to the Office of the Chief Veterinary Officer of Nigeria on July 14, 2023. It appealed to Nigerians to immediately report cases of animals bleeding from body openings to veterinary authorities or agricultural extension workers. The immediate past governor of Kano State, Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, has called on the 17th northern groups under the coalition of Fulbe organizations in Nigeria to pursue lasting peace among herdsmen in the country. He made the call at the Fulbe inaugural meeting in Abuja, decrying the rising communal clashes between farmers and herdsmen, noting that the very essence of pastoralists was to raise livestock. Our correspondent, Edikon Michael, reports that the former Kano State governor condemned the replacement of sticks with guns, which, according to him, has orchestrated the wars among two historically peaceful parties.
The struggle between herders and farmers in Nigeria over farmland and pasture is a serious and escalating conflict, registering huge casualties and raising tensions, particularly in the country's middle belt. Drought and desertification in the north have forced pastoralist herdsmen to seek grazing lands for the south, resulting in competition over resources and clashes with settled farmers.
This is just the nucleus. We shall continue, we will widen, we will deepen the composition of this commission. We will bring in all the professionals, all the stakeholders, veterinary doctors, medical doctors, engineers of different types, business, community. Because all hands must be in deck.
On his path, the convener and former governor of Bauchi State, Isaiah Yaguda, says Fulbe Association is the right steps to end the conflict between Fulani pastoralists and farmers, calling on the organization to brace up for the task ahead while appealing to stakeholders towards working in harmony and addressing problems facing the Fulbe communities in the country to foster a productive partnership with the government.
There is an absolute need to come together. As the saying goes, united we stand, divided we fall. Given the circumstance on the ground, and as a coalition, it's not about our interest as a Fulbe, but the interest of the larger Nigeria that is our country, including the close to 500 tribal groups. Because what is good for us should be and must be also good for other tribal tribes in Nigeria.
The events had in attendance national excorts of the groups among ex-victims. Edikon Michael, Global TV News.
President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, during the 10th National Institute of Legislative and Democratic Studies, NILDS, University of Benin matriculation ceremony for postgraduate programs in Abuja on Monday, said the 10th Assembly will pass quality legislation that will raise the standard of education in the country. Senator Akpabio said he is aware of the current state of education in the country and assured that the current administration is committed to addressing the nagging issues that border on education, instability, and restiveness in tertiary institutions. This, he said, is evident in the recently assented Student Loan Act by President Bola Tinubu to ensure access to education for all. Represented by Deputy President of the Senate, Jibrin Barau, Akpabio implored the matriculating students to see the opportunity of their admission as a great privilege, as the knowledge they will acquire cannot be found in conventional universities, adding that the programs would offer the matriculants the required knowledge to contribute to the nation's democracy and national development. An agricultural expert, Mohammed Liman, has faulted the federal government's plan to reopen borders with its West African neighbors. Liman, who was a guest on Global TV's Global Morning on Monday, also expressed confidence in the President Bola Tinubu administration's ability to deliver on the state of emergency it declared on food security.
It's disastrous.
So you would rather we keep the border shut?
Yes, because now you are not encouraging the farmers.
Local production?
Yeah, local production. Who are farming this rice, this maize or what have you. You are not encouraging them. If this crops they are coming into Nigeria. That means even the rice mills established all around in Nigeria over trillions of naira, then it has become useless. Because the common man does not understand the importance of our local rice. Our local rice is nutritious, health-wise good, because it is not a contaminated rice.
Scores of constitutional and human rights lawyers yesterday stormed the Abuja High Court to commence committal proceedings against the Director General of the State Security Service, Yusuf Bichi, for what they termed violation of multiple judgments and orders of court, directing the release of former Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele from custody of the agency. The consortium of lawyers led by Maxwell Okbara and Akbet Tijani have prayed the court to commit Bichi to prison until he purges himself of the contempt. Kikelamo Kerry completes the report.
Unconditionally, but that client of mine has been in DSS detention for more than 1 year. We are saying enough is enough. The essence of the rule of law is that the judiciary, once the judiciary makes any pronouncement, it should be obeyed. It should be obeyed by the Republic. We have had several directors of DSSS. He's not the first one, and he's not going to be the last one. So we are filing it, and we are asking that now that it's obvious that he has a personal issue to settle with Emefiele, he should go and sort it out. He should not use Nigeria. He should not use any sign, any purported offense of terrorism to sort whatever problem he had with Emefiele. Just like as I said, Senator Ahmed Bola Tinubu was one of those that fought for this democracy through NADECO. Now that he's the president, we want to call upon him as a matter of urgency. He should sack the director DSSS for embarrassing the entire world, for embarrassing Nigeria. Enough of this. This is one of the persons that made the government of President Muhammad Buhari unpopular.
We joined forces together with the world to call on the president to make sure that the DSS director is removed as soon as possible. In fact, tomorrow is too late. It is very, very important. That is the point that we are laboring to make. We're not here to represent Emefiele. We're not here to represent any particular person.
It is the position that, despite the clear and positive order of Justice Hassan and State Security Service, still went ahead to arrest and detain Emefiele, and has so detained him for well over a month while shopping for evidence which does not exist. Kikelamo Okeri, Global Television News, Abuja.
The commander of Nigerian Navy ship NNS Pathfinder, Commander Suleiman Ibrahim, says the Navy has intensified efforts at tracking down crude oil thieves and ensure they were punished accordingly. Again, Kikelemo Kerry reports that Commander Ibrahim stated this during the destruction of multiple trunk lines connected to Wellhead 17 operated by Oil Mining License OML 18 belonging to Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited NNPCL.
Region reduced to shadow of itself, no thanks to the illicit oil bunkering, leading journalists and staff of OML 18 to the well-held site, also known as Christmas Tree, to witness the destruction of the multiple trunks connected to the manifold. The commander, NNS Pathfinder Commodore Suleiman Ibrahim, says those involved in the economic sabotage will not go unpunished.
We've equally come with some of our heavy equipment to make sure we dismantle the illegal structures that are being used to siphon crude illegally. That's what we've been doing since morning. And if you look just around us, you would see a lot of the pipes which have been recovered from the general area where they were illegally deployed. what I have seen here is way beyond what I've seen anywhere. The sophistication is outside this world. You know, the individuals involved, they've taken their time. You know, they've done a lot of measurements. They've done welding on site, and I think we are already doing something. You know, we're tracking the people involved, but I want to assure the general public that all of those involved in this illegal activity would be arrested, and they would definitely have their day in court.
Earlier en route to the site of the Christmas tree, 4 men suspected to be oil thieves were intercepted along the creeks with a local boat laden with stolen automated gas oil, also known as diesel. On their confession, the suspect admitted going into the illicit business due to economic hardship.
We are just doing it because we don't have anything to do, sir. Please, if there's any way you can help us, I beg. Sir, I beg. Sir, we are begging. Help us. Sir, we have lots of responsibilities. I have my girlfriend is pregnant. And normal, she's from Delta State. You have to pay. Normal, you have to pay money. At least 1 or 2 introduction before she put to bed. But sir, no money from where now.
We do come here. Our own is to just get the product, go back to the person that sent us, deliver it. We don't have anything in without pipe or crude. We don't even know anything about crude oil. What we know is the diesel or kerosene. We have produced diesel, we have produced kerosene. Come and buy. The agent will call us. I have something. We are just drivers. We'll come to the place, they load us, we'll go back to Port Harcourt.
The oil mining license OML 18, which NNPC Limited recently maintained, has not commenced operation before the criminals took advantage. Kike Lomo Okeri, Global Television News.
Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, have arrested a 19-year-old student, Benjamin Namani Daberechi, for attempting to export 7.2 kilograms of methamphetamine concealed in crayfish to Europe, where he was going to study. The teenage suspect was intercepted on Wednesday, 12th July, during an outward clearance of passengers on Turkish Airlines flight TK0624. While being interviewed by operatives, Daberechi claimed he was a student on his way to Cyprus for studies, but upon a thorough search of his luggage, he was found in possession of 7.2 kilograms of whitish substance neatly concealed inside a sack of crayfish. A field test of the substance, however, proved positive to methamphetamine. In the same vein, operatives of the Tinkan Port Command of the agency on Tuesday, 11th July, intercepted 116.5 kg consignment of Colorado, a strong strain of cannabis concealed in bags hidden in a heap of used vehicle parts on the floor of a container marked FCIU 8459700, bearing 3 units of used vehicles imported from Toronto, Canada. The Chairman Palliative Committee on Subsidy Removal and Kebbi State Governor Dr. Nasiru Idris has assured Nigerians that efforts were on to cushion the effects of the subsidy removal. The governor gave the assurance when members of the committee met in Abuja on Saturday. This is contained in a statement by the governor's spokesman, Ahmed Idris. The meeting had in attendance Governors Bala Mohammed of Bauchi, Charles Soludo of Anambra, Ubasani of Kaduna, and Asindu Alia of Benue, as well as representatives of the organized labor and civil society organizations. The chairman assured that Nigerians should have a cause to smile as soon as the committee was done doing its best to bring succor and ease current difficulties. It could be recalled that on June 19, the federal government and the leadership of the NLC, as well as the TUC, had agreed that all the issues and demands related to palliatives should be concluded within 8 weeks. A former Kaduna lawmaker and social-political commentator, Shehu Sani, says the declaration of emergency on food security has exposed what he called the deception of the rice pyramids and the futility of closing the land borders. Sani stated this in a statement where he is verified Twitter handle on Sunday. According to him, Nigeria cannot have food security with farmers being slaughtered by terrorists. The former senator expressed worry that with bandits forcing the farming communities to pay levies, the country cannot have food security. Recall that President Bola Tinubu had declared the state of emergency of food security in the country. The declaration was made to mitigate the hardship experienced by Nigerians following the removal of fuel subsidy. The policy was introduced following Tinubu's wide consultation with stakeholders in the food and agricultural value chain, co-ops in the Central Bank of Nigeria, Customs, Farmers Association, key financial experts, among others. A new drug, donanemab, is being hailed as a turning point in the fight against Alzheimer's after a global trial confirmed it slows cognitive decline. The antibody medicine helps in the early stages of the disease by clearing a protein that builds up in the brains of people with this type of dementia. Although not a cure, charities say the work in the journal JAMA marks a new era where Alzheimer's can be treated. The UK's drugs watchdog has started assessing it for possible NHS use. It works in Alzheimer's disease, not in other types of dementia, such as vascular dementia. In the trials, it appears to have slowed the pace of the disease by about a third, allowing people to retain more of their day-to-day lives and tasks, such as making meals and enjoying a hobby. Sounds like some reprieve for the community of people suffering from Alzheimer's. Let's take a look at other stories for you, but that will be after this break. Do stay with us. Welcome to Global Morning here on
Welcome to the AM News.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
The National Assembly is something that must be gotten right.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
The struggle has to strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
We appreciate you staying with us here on the AM News on Global Television. The Poultry Association of Nigeria, PAN, says poultry farms across the country are currently shutting down operations due to the persistent hike in the price of maize, a major feed for birds in the subsector. Based on these, PAN stated that the poultry subsector in Nigeria was heading for a crash if the government failed to establish the industry. In a statement on Monday, the association said at the moment the poultry industry in Nigeria is on the verge of total collapse if urgent intervention is not channeled without further delay. The statement, which was jointly signed by PAN's national president Sunday Ezeobiora and Director General Onalo Akpa, stated that there had been an upward surge in the cost of maize, forcing farmers to shut down their operations. Let's take a look at business and economy now. The National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, has said Nigeria's headline inflation rate accelerated for the 6th consecutive time to 22.79% in June 2023. The inflation rates in Africa's biggest economy rose to a new 17-year high of 22.79% in June, from 22.4% in the previous month. Food and non-alcoholic beverages at 11.81% led the list of items that contributed to the rising inflation figure. The World Bank had projected that the removal of fuel subsidy would contribute to the country's increasing inflation. In its June 2023 Nigeria Development Update, the bank said the removal of the petrol subsidy is anticipated to cause a temporary increase in inflation in the coming months before contributing to disinflation in the medium term. Meanwhile, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, has expressed its concerns about the impending displacement of local meter manufacturers and assemblers in the downstream of the power sector in the National Mass Metering Program, also called NMMP. Director General of Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Segun Ajayi Kadiru, stated that the advertised financial requirements and technical specifications by the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, appears to be skewed against local manufacturers as they are outrageously stringent and negate the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN's guidelines for the implementation of National Mass Metering Program. He warned that this development portends grave danger for the power sector as the country may be witnessing a repeat of the unfortunate scenario in 2012 when local manufacturers were sidelined in the meter supply and the nation was greeted with supply of substandard meters. It should be recorded that in keeping with the federal government's backward integration policy and the advent of the NMNP intervention, manufacturers have been urged to make investments in expansion of manufacturing capacities, trained and promoted high-skilled workforce to meet the demands of the power sector as envisaged in the Nigeria Electricity Supply Industry, NESI. And that's a full circle on the AM News here on Global Television. Thank you everyone for watching. I'm Uyag Mofwegbe. Global Morning begins right now. Welcome to Global Morning here on
Welcome to the AM News.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.